car, Gershwin CD. But we're gonna move on. The Rhapsody in Blue is another one of those innovations that John talked about earlier, where it takes these two existing ideas and synthesizes them to create something beautiful and unexpected. So it took jazz and the piano concerto, and then we got this wonderful creation. But it's more of an impression of jazz. It's not very authentic. And so our next piece is going to be a little bit more raw. It's a popular standard that was made famous by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. It's called A Dream, a Little Dream of Me.
Famous work, Appalachian Spring, and we're going to play the very ending of that piece. And in this part of the piece, he showcases a Shaker hymn called Simple Gifts, and he uses a theme and variations with this tune and with this hymn. And you know, I wonder why he used a theme and variations. You know, sometimes it's played really fast, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's in canon, sometimes it's in harmony. Even at some points, at the very end, he uses it in a variation like a prayer. It's so beautiful. And I started to wonder why. I started thinking, why would he do such a thing? Why would he use the theme and variations? And maybe he wanted to remind the audience and his listeners that we get so many simple gifts every day, and to recognize them and not take them for granted. And yeah, you know, whether it's the sunrise or the sunset, or catching a smile at the you know, at the end of the in the room with someone, or you know, getting a call from someone that you hadn't heard from in a while. There's so many different simple gifts. Even the breathing the Alaskan air, that one's super special. Such a simple gift. And so I invite you guys to think about all the simple gifts that you get. And yeah, I'll be thinking of that while I'm playing. But also I wanted to thank you guys so much for coming. We all want to thank you. You've been such a great audience, and yeah, we hope to see you guys again. We play every single day, so just check your when and wheres. So thank you guys. Good night.
Thank you. We met in Chicago because I went after being in Bloomington. I went to Chicago and I live there now.
Okay, so are you?
I was like, oh, wait.
The quartet, the four of us are a group inside of this. We're called Arndt. And then John is a great arranger and he's been collaborating with us. We actually have him on there too.
Wow.
Thank you so much. And go. Indiana. Nice to meet you.
Well, normally, we do our last concert is New York. My undergrad, and then I went to Northwestern undergrad. She went to Cleveland Institute, and Rita went to University of Texas.
In Indiana, actually.
I just don't want to.
I'll send you
Oh, wow.
6 days.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I'm not sure how this is correct.
That's wonderful.
You'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
I retired in 2000.
Yeah, we will, every day.
I'll put that address.
Violin. Yeah.
I'll send you maybe
Wow.
Okay, that's so sweet of you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're 6 years.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
There's
goodness.
5 of us together. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I'll send to everyone.
Oh, thank you so
That's so
Of
sweet.
course, you
Yeah, it's a different quality. Yeah.
700 pieces.
on the stand. Yeah. Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You're in the room, yeah. That's amazing. That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much.
We feel blessed.
Yeah. That is, yeah, that is bring up the wrong
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we play